Welcome to the Slade Ham experiment. I'm Slade Ham. Cheers. Toastios to you guys. I'll actually drink this time, even though it's non-alcoholic. It's a green tea infused with blueberries. Seems to fit the vibe in the Midnight Spaceship tonight. The theme tonight is situational awareness. What role you're supposed to play in any given scenario. It wasn't the topic until earlier today. I'm blown away by some people's lack of situational awareness. The inability to pick up certain social cues, the audacity in certain situations. I was at one of my local coffee shops earlier. I was trying to get some work done, trying to shift gears. When I work inside the spaceship, sometimes it gets a little repetitive. So I ventured out into the Houston city streets, and congratulations, your 2022 World Series champion Astros, by the way. I went out, and I just thought it would be good to be among people in a city that was vibing correctly for a day. Sure enough, you walk in, coffee shop's full, a lot of people wearing Astros gear. None of that is consequential at all. I sat down at a table. Only reason I remember that, the two girls at the table next to me were wearing Astros paraphernalia. And it's one of those coffee shops that almost every table is an individual table. You know, there's not a lot of reason to share space. Even the biggest table probably holds 6 people. And like groups of 3 or 4 will sit down at those tables. Rarely is someone such a sprawled out asshole as to take up a 6 top by himself. It's a well-policed, self-policed coffee shop. So I'm sitting at this table by myself. To my right, table, a 4 top. 2 girls. They're having a mock interview. One of the girls is trying to become a nurse. I know this because it's relatively audible over my shoulder. She's going to become a nurse. This other girl is training her in the interview process. They're talking nurse stuff. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? These questions, you know. And then this kid comes in. There are several other empty tables. He walks past them. Excuse me, do y'all mind? And he plants himself at their table. And the one girl was so polite about it. Well, yeah, I guess, but we're going to be talking kind of loud, you know, if that kind of thing. You know, it's clear. I have a problem with people who put you in these dumb situations that you can't say no to. And people prey on that. There are, and I'm not sure where this guy falls in the equation. So he starts out that way, though. You guys mind? And they give him the polite yes, but, which is a no. Anyway, so he sits down, and I tell myself, I go, how long is it going to take this guy to say something to these girls? Because I'm not that dude. I'm not out there championing the cause. That's a hard word. Say that one time slow. Championing the cause of that movement of no one's allowed to talk to anybody in public. How dare you approach someone in public? I don't believe that. I believe that that's a necessary part of our social structure, and that approaching people in a casual format, politely, respectfully, is possibly the greatest way to meet someone. Okay, so coming from that place, I knew this guy was going to say something, and I'm curious. And he starts out with so what do you guys do? The opening line, and they go, well, nursing. And then they turn their bodies back to each other so they can continue their conversation. And he goes, He goes, oh, I'm thinking about doing that. I've got so many questions. And I went, wow, that was an interesting move right there. Thinking about nursing. Okay, he starts asking. If you think of, here's the way the conversation went. You know those conversations that if you had to keep it going forever, you would eventually find stuff to talk about. If someone said nursing and you knew nothing about nursing, which this idiot knew nothing about nursing, he would just ask all these questions about, so you guys, like if there's a big accident or something, that's probably good for the hospital, right? And the girl was like, what do you mean? He's like, more customers, right? And she was like, no, I don't think that's how it works at all. And he goes, oh, it's one of those things nobody ever thinks about. You're like, what is your angle here? And he starts drilling it, so like, you ever have to see somebody die? Like he's just asking these weird, random questions. The girl's like, I'm not even a nurse yet. And she keeps turning her body back to her friend. And then the kid's questions become a little more personal. How old are y'all? You know what I mean? And then the girls tell him how old they are. They turn back again, and there's this awkward, long pause before they start back into what they're about to do. And he's not quite going to take his teeth off the bone. And he goes, so I'm in real estate. You guys have any questions about real estate? And I'm also a DJ. And when he said that, that was the pivotal moment in the story. Because I'm sitting here listening to all this, and I go, man, this is making me giggle on the inside. I'm having to pretend I'm watching something funny on my laptop so that and then hold my laughs for a second so that they're not exactly on time with what this jackwagon's spitting at these girls. But by the time he got to the personal information, what are y'all's names? How old are you? I started to turn. And when that son of a bitch threw out, I'm in real estate and also a DJ, do y'all have any questions? That's how he filled the gap. I giggled so goddamn loud in the middle of this coffee shop. And then, but I didn't make eye contact. So it was okay. And then he goes, hey, y'all have Instagram. And both girls instantly looked physically uncomfortable. And he goes, let me get them real quick. Just pull your phones, however he said it. And I finally just turned around and I go, hey, man. I go, why don't you, can you just ask these girls if they would like to go back to what they were doing before you took over their table, before you continue asking them questions like this? Just give them an opportunity, maybe. I didn't even look at the girls. And I feel stupid for interjecting. And then I said, because he had a, all right, he had a hustle every day patch on his backpack. I know. I 100% is the modern day equivalent of a no fear sticker on your car. His backpack said hustle every day. And he was hustling. And it was a Sunday. And I just said, hey, you're kind of being a pop-up window right now. Nobody asked for this. I don't mean to be rude, but could you just... And he did. And they finished their mock interview and they casually excused themselves and they left. And he was polite on his way out. He tapped my table. He said, you have a good day. And then I watched my back all the way out to the parking lot because I grew up around thugs. So cheers to you guys. How do you not know you're not wanted in that conversation? How do you not feel? Is there a book out there that is teaching people to be this way? That is telling them that no is not a word to hear? That's teaching them how not to sense someone's discomfort around you? When I talk to people and they start droning on, and especially after shows, and you're standing in front of my merch, you're in the way of other people trying to tell me stories, I'll give you a minute, and I'll give you all the cues. I'll give you all the, oh, wow, that's wilds. I'll give you all the one or two excuse. Hey, man, let them get by. You're kind of blocking the couple of times. But then quickly we get to, hey, you got to get the fuck out the way. You're not aware of what you're doing. I had a comic in Toronto that was that way. A comic. I say a comic, a young comic. 2 nights in a row, hanging out by my merch booth, wouldn't move. Hustle every day. Anyway, I don't even know why that upset me so bad. We're so assaulted. I know this is by unwanted advertisement in every other area of our lives. So when you go sit in a coffee shop, especially these two who were trying to actually do something work related, they're trying to accomplish something, and you're sitting down with your sales hustle, your dumb pitch. I'm a real estate agent / DJ. So when you buy a house, you can do the party in the house you sold, that you knuckle face. That is so. Don't be that person. My situational awareness problem is that I'm aware of this situation, and I'm not certain what role I'm supposed to play. And it's all going to come back to my search history, which is concerning me at the moment, because it currently has questions about how to humanely kill all sorts of animals. One, a rat, which we will get to in a bit, but primarily a fish. I've written about this in the past. I've got an aquarium inside the spaceship, an aquatics bay, if you will. It's barely populated by 2 African cichlids. One of which I did not want. That was the genesis of the entire tank. A friend of mine who was trying to get rid of the fish told me I should take the fish. And because I had nothing alive in my life at the time, I said yes. And he said that this fish was being bullied. He toyed with my heartstrings a little bit. Man, the fish is being bullied. It's getting beat up. You don't want it to die, do you? I got it sequestered in the tank. There's the truth. I think that fish was the bully. I think he intentionally gave me a bully fish because it's 100% the type of person he was. I say was because he's dead to me. So the fish is an asshole. The fish from day one, I brought it home. I put it in the tank. I thought, you know what? It deserves some friendship. It was bullied for a long time. Let me give it a fish friend that's not going to do that to it. So I bought a smaller 2 fish, a blue cichlid and an electric yellow cichlid. One was electric. One of them's blue, one of them's yellow. And that orange fish killed the blue one so fast, I might as well have put it in a blender. The yellow one made it about 3 years in the tank with Blacktooth Grin. That's the orange's name, Blacktooth Grin. It's got a couple of black teeth right up front. That was Dimebag Darrell's drink, was the Blacktooth Grin. So I took the name, gave it to the fish because he had black teeth. He looked like he was always smiling. Of course he was always smiling because he's a serial killer. He's a terrorist. If you told me that fish drove a submarine into the side of a pet store, I wouldn't blink an eye. That fish killed. I lost track like 36 fish. Yeah, I know. It sounds like I'm just feeding him expensive fish. It does sound like, and I don't have an argument for that. But the tank would find equilibrium in places where a certain specific number of the right fish I keep glancing over because we'll get to it. The right number of fish would find harmony and equilibrium for a while. For a good period, 3 or 4 of these fish lived in this tank harmoniously. And then one day, I came home, and Tweak, the yellow one, was like, and he's electric yellow, black edges to his fins, beautiful fish. Pasty white, pale, laying in the corner, stomach's all eaten out, fins are all gone. It's a dead fish. This fish is as zombie as a fish could possibly be. And I went to grab the net to fish the fish. So I went to scoop him out. And when I did, he twitched like a little fish twitch. And I went, oh shit, he's a real zombie. His stomach was gone. He looked like he was almost one of those skeleton-y cartoon fish. Oh, well, let me try to nurse him back to health. Put him in isolation tank. Fed him individually. The big orange one would come up to the tank like Jaws trying to get a cage diver. He would nose up against it, and Tweak would just twitch a little bit, but he was safe. Then eventually he got a little healthier. His swim bladders like reformed, refilled. His fins grew back. His color returned. It was kind of awesome. And I put him back in the tank with Black Tooth grin because you got to live where you got to live, man. I'm not building you a garage apartment. You're a fish. And then Tweak would come out of his log. He found a log. The orange fish grew just big enough. He had eaten so many other fish, he grew too big to get in the log that Tweak used to hide in. And I call him Tweak because at one point the tank's chemistry got all wacky, and he might have gotten some brain damage. Him and Blacktooth Grin were the only fish who survived that entire ecological disaster. Now, I realize if you're listening to this, it makes me sound like a horrible pet owner. I have no argument. I'm not a pet owner. I'm a pet receiver who got gifted a bully fish from an asshole friend and then had to put some other fish in the tank so that fish didn't feel alone, and then somehow sustain the juggling match that became that Thunderdome ecosystem. I don't want dependent animals. That's why I've had a dog once in my life, and it was when I was much younger and much more in the same place. Now I can't do things that are dependent on me. So these fish are perfect. I got an automatic feeder. These two don't kill each other anymore. I had a cat that wasn't really my cat, like an outdoor cat, not my cat. That was its name. She had one eye. She was a real gimp. She's always beat up. But she could come inside the fence on my property, and I would feed her a little, like not every day, like once, I'd see her. She'd have to come up, and she wouldn't mess with people at all. She was terrified. But she'd come up, and she'd rub up against my leg, and I'd give her a little bit of food, and then we'd go on about our business. I wouldn't see her for 4 or 5 days. And then I came back from a road trip, and she had lost a tooth. I remember that. All she liked to do was scrap. That was her life. I'd bring her in when there was, like something terrible happening outside, like a storm or a hurricane. I think she slept inside the house maybe twice. I kicked her right back out. We knew. And now she's dead. It's a whole different story that I told to reinforce that I'm not a bad pet owner, but I realized that I should have picked a different anecdote. Rest in peace, not my cat. We've never seen a body. I'm certain she's dead, but I'm not certain. God, that is remarkable tea. So Blacktooth is dying. Might be dead. Could be dead since I started this episode. Not 100% certain. And here's my dilemma. That's the situation I'm aware of. The problem is I don't know what my role is. I've been Googling how to, everything you Google says humanely put down the fish. Same way I'm Googling how to humanely kill a rat. And they all say I should humanely kill, but I don't, because the fish will look dead for about a day, where he swims upside down, floats, more or less, like head down, like a sleeping shark. And then yesterday, I was convinced it was the last day. We'd already been through 2 days of this. With the fish is folded in half, like a paper airplane, like an origami crane. The fish is fucked up. But he's also like 8 years old. I don't know how long fish live. Maybe this is just how fish die. So he'll swim upside down. He'll be kind of dead for a while. And I'll think I should take him out and bear. But that's where my brain stops. What is my role there? Do I have to kill him? I want to leave him in there until he dies like a benevolent God. Let him live his life to its full extent. Die in the tank where you lived 8 years of your life. I don't know how many bully years you spent. And then you die in the tank and Tweet gets to eat your stomach out poetically like you tried to kill him all those years ago. That's how this should go down. Because I would say the most humane way to kill something would be to drown it, which is what I'm having to consider with this rat situation. So I don't know what to, so the rat thing, I'll come back to the fish. The rat there's one rat, and sometimes they find their way in. I live in an old house. It's getting colder outside. There's holes in and out of the place. It happens. It's not a New York City apartment, but it's a Texas house. So one of them has gotten in, and I know this because I had one of those microwavable heating pad things that you put around your neck, so it's a long rectangle full of what I'm guessing is birdseed or rice or something else that absorbs moisture, maybe clay pellets. I can't tell what these things are. They're tiny little dots. I know because it was hanging over the edge of my oven door by the microwave in the kitchen, and I came home to find that the bottom part had been torn and these little things were all over the floor. So I know what's going on here. Something got it. And then 2 days later, I walk in the middle of the night, I turn on the light, and I see this son of a bitch looking up at me, clawing at the little thing that was still hanging there because I'm lazy and I never moved it. He looks at me and then darts off, and I got to see where it was he left. So I went with the glue trap route. I'm not a good killing things person. I don't hunt. I do fish, which is why it's very difficult for me to understand why I can't kill this one. I kill fish all the time, right out of the water. I just throw them in an ice chest. Eventually they freeze to death or die from oxygen starvation. They're terrible things to do to fish. I don't think twice about it because I know I'm going to eat these fish, but I'm not going to eat this dumb cichlid who keeps coming back to life every 2 days to grab food and float around like a zombie killer. And then the Tweet goes back in his log and we all go, holy shit, how'd that fish do that? And now he's upside down again. So I'm not good at killing stuff. So with the rat, I don't know what to do with it. How do I catch it? I don't want to. The grocery store doesn't sell the big fat rat traps. They only sell the little ones, which is just going to like attach to his foot. And he's going to run around. I'm going to have to wake up to something going clomp, clomp, clomp. And then him trying to run away with a rat trap attached to his foot. And he's going to get stuck in the wall. This is terrible. So I put some glue traps out where I think he runs into, but he's managed to dodge those thus far. So the answer is going to be more glue traps and then some bait to track him into the glue traps. And then the question is what I do with him after he's on the glue trap. All the glue trap says is humanely dispose of the rat. Well, what does that mean? Cut his head off with a shovel, light him on fire, drown him in the water? I don't know what that means. Nothing. They say put him in a jar with some dry ice. Where do you get a rat-sized jar in dry ice? I'm not trying to film an episode of MacGyver. I'm trying to kill a stupid rat. So I'm... In the fish thing, there's no fish vets. What am I going to I'm going to take my fish to the vet? Bring him in a bag? Hi, can you do surgery? Nobody's going to take that seriously. And I can't put the fish in a jar with some dry ice. That sounds super dumb. I'm perplexed about what to do. I feel like the question is the fish suffering? And then the question is, if the fish is suffering, does he or does he not deserve to suffer? This is the moral dilemma I have with things like the death penalty. Should I make the decision? One could argue I already made the decision by putting him in the tank. I don't want to involve myself and interrupt the ecosystem, but I've created the ecosystem, so you could say I've already done so. So I don't know the right way to euthanize a fish. I don't know the right way to kill a rat. Truth is, I'm probably just going to... What am I going to do? I got to drown it. I don't have another way. This is such a terrible dilemma, but I'm going to have a rat on a glue trap, and I can't leave it outside for other animals because then they'll get glue trapped. Maybe I just go out of town and see what happens when I get back in 2 weeks. Maybe I should leave the aquarium on the kitchen floor with the lid off and some peanut butter on the edge. Let the rat kill the fish and maybe drown itself. Maybe Tweet can live off of that for the 2 weeks I'm gone. I don't know what to do. How do people solve these? Why is this such a dilemma for me? Kill the fish, kill the rat, move about your life. It's probably because I'm all like panpsychism now. There's a little bit of consciousness in everything. And I wonder what that fish is dealing with. It seems like he's not in pain. I don't know how many pain receptors fish have or how any of that works, but it seems like floating in a tank would be the safest, most comfortable place in the world to be. There's no weight on your limbs. You're basically anti-gravity. You're just breathing in peacefully, I think. So maybe I'll just let him die, and I don't have to think about it. That said, how long do rats live? I can outweight you, you son of a bitch, for moral reasons. Don't... Anyway, Blacktooth Grin will likely be gone by the next time we speak. Tweak will be king of the tank all by himself. This rat should be either dead or a week older. And I'll have some more tea. And the Astros will still be the 2022 World Series champions, by God. And that coffee shop predator, can I get your Instagram? I'm a DJ realtor. I hope I see him again. I'm sure I didn't change anything at all, but if for half a moment, someone interrupting his nauseous sales pitch to tell him that he is literally being the equivalent of an unasked for advertisement, a spam email in a baseball cap, then I've done the Lord's work, and I'll feel better for the animals I am about to kill. I'm Slade Ham. This is the Slade Ham Experiment. I'll see you guys on another episode.